The galactic nexus shimmered like a celestial ocean, awash with stars and swirls of nebulae, an endless expanse that offered both promise and peril. Beneath that beauty, tyranny thrived. The Tyrix Dominion's influence stretched like a shadow across the galaxy, wrapping itself around civilizations with a grip as cold as vacuum. Kaela stood motionless on the bridge of her stealth vessel, the Void Phantom, a starship engineered for silent kills and rapid exits. The charted galaxy projected before her, glowing softly in the low light. Her eyes, a piercing green, reflected the scattered starlight, sharp and unblinking. She was silent, composed, yet the stillness of her posture masked the chaos beneath. Orders had come from the Guild: eliminate a high-value Terran asset, a diplomat instrumental to the Dominion's outreach programs. The Terrans had become entangled in the Empire's diplomatic web, and this one, Rylon Thane, was both a symbol and tool of influence. Kaela had done this before, countless times in fact, yet this assignment stirred unease in a way few others had. It wasn't sentiment. She had no love for humans. It was something else, something deeper. The Guild was changing, or perhaps revealing its true face. The Void Phantom coasted through space like a phantom, its engines whispering softly, cloaked against sensors and the naked eye. Kyla's fingers glided across the controls with muscle memory more than thought. Each light tap aligned the ship with the coordinates given, taking her ever closer to the heart of Dominion authority on this side of the galaxy. The Terran diplomat's compound came into view, a high-security installation nestled on the orbiting station Zarek 9, positioned to oversee trade routes between three sectors. Kayla's jaw clenched as the targeting sensors locked onto its parameters. She moved to the armory chamber, pulling on her obsidian armor, each segment sliding into place with mechanical hiss and precision. The matte finish shimmered faintly with refracted starlight. Her weapons, too, were familiar extensions of her will. A dagger forged from a memory metal alloy, a sidearm with pulse suppression, and an array of tools hidden throughout her gear. A breath, not a prayer. Kaela did not believe in divine intervention. Just a moment to center herself. The cloak engaged. The ship drifted past outer defenses undetected, positioning itself against the station's underbelly. Kaela moved through the airlock into the vacuum, her boots magnetized. She scaled the outer wall like a specter and sliced into a maintenance hatch with surgical efficiency. Within moments, she was inside the station. The corridors were sterile and angular, lit with an artificial glow that gave everything the shade of steel. Footsteps echoed somewhere distant. Surveillance systems dotted the walls, but Kayla's suit systems kept her steps silent and her heat signature masked. She moved like liquid shadow. This was what she had trained for since childhood. The Guild had taken her in, raised her, honed her to perfection. Morality wasn't part of the job. Success was. Failure was death. As she neared the diplomat's location, Kyla's senses sharpened. A security checkpoint loomed ahead, but she bypassed it with precision, triggering a brief electrical interference, slipping through the briefest gap in the camera cycle, and stunning a lone guard without alerting the others. The compound's architecture reflected the Dominion's taste for intimidation: towering ceilings, reinforced doors, layers of defense, and minimal humanity. At last, she stood before the final chamber. The door hissed open to reveal Rylon Thane seated behind a chrome desk, the glow of a data terminal illuminating his face. His brow furrowed, then fear set in. His hand twitched toward a hidden panic switch. Kaela did not speak. Her blade gleamed as she stepped forward. His mouth opened, confusion painted across his face. But the moment stretched too long. She struck before the thought could form, quick and efficient. The room fell silent again, save for the soft hum of climate control. No alarms, no response. She had planned every movement with precision, yet as she stared at the lifeless figure slumped over the desk, the discomfort in her chest tightened. The escape was clean. She melted back into the halls, retracing her route in reverse. Yet this time, she felt different. There was no satisfaction, only weight. She returned to the Void Phantom, sealed the hatch, and launched silently back into open space. The Guild would confirm the kill. Payment would follow. But Kayla's thoughts did not rest. Not this time. Kaela stared through the cockpit canopy as the stars bled across the darkness, trailing silver ribbons across the void. Her mind, however, was no longer focused on the stars. The guild had changed. Upon returning to one of their hidden enclaves, she began to hear things. Patterns in conversations, discrepancies in mission logs. The more she observed, the more clear it became. The Tyrix Dominion was using the guild to eliminate threats not just to the Empire, but to its economic stranglehold, to its propaganda campaigns. The guild had become its knife in the dark. Kaela confronted her handler. She had expected lies or perhaps silence. What she received instead was admission, cold, clinical truth. The guild served the dominant power. And in this galaxy, the Dominion reigned supreme. So she left, but not without purpose. She had made contact with one of the Dominion's many enemies, a rebel network led by Terrans, scattered across asteroid bases and derelict stations. The same people she had once hunted were now her potential allies. Kaela charted a course to a rebel staging ground located in the shadows of the dead moon, Delvaris. There, she would offer them what no outsider had before: intel, access, precision. She would help them bring the Empire down from within. The base itself was a rough patchwork of salvage tech and makeshift tunnels. Yet despite the crude appearance, the people inside were sharp, organized, and determined. The moment she stepped through their gates, every eye turned toward her. She met their commanders, Jalen, an ex-Dominion soldier with a missing eye, and Mira, a strategist known for predicting enemy movements before they were made. They listened to Kaela's offer. She provided proof, mission logs, evidence of executions, internal memos. They said nothing at first, but the air changed. The tension between them shifted to something resembling trust. Kaela didn't ask for redemption. She didn't want forgiveness. All she wanted was the chance to burn down what had betrayed her. And now she had found allies who shared that fire. Plans unfolded quickly. Kaela worked with rebel tacticians to coordinate an infiltration into the Dominion's central communications relay. The objective was simple: expose the Empire, broadcast their secrets, their war crimes, their manipulations. Let the galaxy see the truth they had buried for so long. But the path would be soaked in fire. Kaela trained rebel squads personally, teaching them infiltration, evasion, and precision strikes. She saw her knowledge reflected in them. People once unskilled, now moving like shadows. For the first time in her life, Kaela fought for something beyond herself. It was not easy. More than once, plans went sideways. More than once, she questioned her own motivations. But every time she saw Dominion forces silence another voice, she remembered why she had chosen this path. Finally, they were ready. The fleet mobilized. Hacked Dominion codes allowed them to bypass border patrols. A dozen ships, most old and held together by raw will, launched toward the heart of the Empire, and the Void Phantom led them. The Dominion's capital world, Zareth Prime, rose like a mechanical mountain from the void, a world of towers, lights, noise, and shadows. The seat of Emperor Dravik, the architect of conquest, the embodiment of oppression. Kaela's heart beat steady. She had studied his habits, his bunker, his defenses. No fortress was impenetrable, not if you knew where to strike. The rebels engaged the outer fleets, drawing attention away. Amid the chaos, the Void Phantom plunged into atmosphere, bypassing airspace control with stolen codes and stealth systems. The capital city was ablaze with sirens and scrambling fighters, but Kaela only saw the tower, the place where Dravik resided, hidden behind legions of guards and walls of steel. She and a strike team hit the surface and made their move. Explosions bloomed in the distance. Sirens howled. The city had become a war zone, but Kaela had eyes only for her mission. They breached the tower's lower levels with explosives, climbed through shattered ventilation shafts, and fought room to room against Dominion elite guards. She led them through flame and gunfire, her every move a blur of training and fury. They reached the throne chamber, lavish, imposing, with its dark windows overlooking a burning skyline. And there stood Dravik, older than expected, but no less dangerous, clad in ornate armor, surrounded by the last of his guard. Words were exchanged, not speeches, but statements of truth. The lies were over. The rebellion had reached his doorstep. Then battle erupted. Kaela moved like vengeance incarnate, blade flashing, gun roaring. She reached Dravik as his last guard fell. Their final duel was brutal. He was no coward. He fought like a warlord, but he fought for power. Kaela fought for freedom. When it ended, she stood over him, wounded but unyielding. She raised her weapon, and history shifted. The broadcast went live. Everything the rebels had prepared, evidence, confessions, files, was released across the Galactic network. Civilizations tuned in. Worlds held captive by the Dominion saw the truth for the first time. Uprisings followed. Systems once silent found their voice. The Tyrix Dominion did not fall in a day, but the cracks had become fractures. Kaela stood atop a rooftop overlooking the city, now filled with firelight and shouts of victory. Mira approached her, bruised but smiling. Jalen joined them, leaning heavily on a shattered pillar. They had done what no one thought possible. Kaela said little. She never had many words. But as she watched a rebel flag rise above the Dominion's capital, she felt the weight she had carried for so long finally lift. Not completely, never completely, but enough. In the vastness of the galactic nexus, among stars and shadows, she had found a new purpose. Not as a tool, but as a flame.